What's up YouTube? Today we're going to go ride a 2017 Kawasaki Z125 Pro. If you're not sure what that is, don't feel bad, neither did I until a couple months ago. Basically, it's the main if not only competition for the famous Honda Grom. If you're not sure what a Honda Grom is, let me show you with this really cool clip that I didn't make. So you kind of get the idea. The Honda Grom has been successful basically since the day it came out, and I've always been a fan, but I've never actually gotten to ride one. So I'm curious to see what the competition is like. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Thank you for not killing me. Please don't hit me, thank you. Yep. Barely breaking the speed limit. All right, so if you didn't already know, this is the 2017 Kawasaki Z125. Now, if you didn't realize it when I first started talking about it, this is Kawasaki's answer to the Grom, and one of the only major manufacturers to come out with an answer to the Grom. Now, I don't actually have statistical data or data at all regarding Grom sales, but if you know anything about motorcycles, if you're even sort of in the world, you know that the Honda Grom is probably the most successful, I don't know what you'd call it, sub 400cc bike of all time, if not one of, and it hasn't been around for that long, so it's hard to compare it to things that have been around for a lot longer. But nonetheless, the Grom has been extremely successful in its very short life, and it's a little 125cc single-cylinder engine just like this little Kawasaki. Now, when this bike was introduced in 2017, it wasn't just to compete with the Grom. Kawasaki realized in early 2007, late 2016, that the sub 400cc motorcycle market had grown 127% between 2012 and 2017. So with the success of the Grom and under 400cc motorcycles in general, Kawasaki decided it was time to get into the game with a, I forget the technical term, but basically like a mini bike, even though this is street legal and you have to have a plate on it and a motorcycle permit depending on the state that you live in. This is, legally speaking, a motorcycle, but it is, as you can tell, it's not just the fact that I'm way too big for it. This is actually a mini bike, mini whatever. So yes. Now this video might be a little clickbaity because I actually have never ridden a Grom. I don't really have any reference to compare it to, but let's talk about the advantages that the Z125 immediately offers over the Grom. And these are debatable as well, so for all my Grom fanboys out there, bear in mind, I'm not talking shit on your Grom. I'm just pointing out what Kawasaki was trying to do when they came out with this bike. So, what are the points that the Z125 scores already? Right off the bat, it's 31.7 inches tall, which is about 1.7 inches taller than the Grom. Doesn't sound like much, but this actually puts the Z125 into regular motorcycle territory. It's not as short as you would think. It's actually about as tall as a regular motorcycle. Sorry, I just missed a gear there. Also, the base price of the Z125 is $2,999, so right at $3,000, which puts it about 300 bucks less than a Grom. Again, doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're talking these, you know, super high miler, like great mile per gallon, super low cost to entry type bikes, 300 bucks is kind of a big deal, and at the very least, it's something to consider. Also, even though both bikes, the Grom and the Z125, get 80 plus miles to the gallon all day long, this has a 2-gallon tank to the Grom's, I believe, 1.45. So this is a bigger fuel tank, and on a bike that gets 80 miles to the gallon, this is going to stretch your range quite a bit. So those are really the technical points that this thing wins on. It does have a shorter stroke than the Grom, even though they're both the same engine size. The stroke on this is shorter, so that this revs about 500 RPM higher than the Grom will. If that really matters to you, I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I could probably count on one hand the number of times that this thing's going to see redline with me on it. It makes okay power. It's a 125, so it makes okay power throughout the power band. But that's really the only major technical thing that I know of that pushes this ahead of the Grom, if at all. Now you might say none of that stuff matters. If we're going to get one used, then the $300 price difference doesn't matter. If you're riding a bike like this, then the seat height doesn't matter, and they both get great gas mileage, and the tanks are super small anyway, so who cares about the, 0.55 gallon difference? I don't know. That's kind of that's up to you to decide. I don't really know if that stuff matters at all. You might just like the way the Grom looks, and that's the one. But as far as how this thing rides, I can tell you, it's just easy. It's exactly what you would expect. One of the greatest things about this type of bike is if you've ever driven like a really slow, like kind of sporty car, like a Mazda Miata or any other car that is kind of sporty-ish, it handles well but doesn't go very fast. There's this thing called slow car fast, and this is kind of the same thing except it's slow bike fast. And what I mean is, you can ride this balls out pretty much everywhere. Like, you could probably treat this park, we're in a park right now, you could treat this park like a MotoGP circuit. You could just have it to the red line in first, second, third. You could be, I don't know, dragging knees or whatever. You could be riding this thing as hard as you possibly could, and like a cop wouldn't even look up from his phone. Nothing would happen because you're not going the speed limit, and that's probably the best thing about this bike. Besides the fact that it looks fun, it is fun, it gets great gas mileage. You can ride the absolute wheels off these bikes. They're just easy. They're easy to ride. They're easy to have fun on. They're low maintenance. I mean, you change the oil. These bikes are built to run forever. That's what I mean. That right there, that's what I mean. You can go wide open through the first 3 gears and nobody even looks up from feeding the ducks. If anyone has seen my review video of the Yamaha Bolt, this bike is actually owned by the same guy. And the funny thing about this is he got this right after he got the Bolt, and he's probably put, I don't even know how many miles, 1,000 miles on this in a month or two. Probably a lot more. He rides this 10 times more than he rides the Bolt because he works 10 miles from his house. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need anything else. This is fine. It's fun. It gets amazing gas mileage. I mean, you couldn't touch this with any four-wheeled vehicle basically outside of a Tesla, which doesn't even obviously use any fuel. This thing is as economical as they get. As long as it's not raining or freezing out, you're good. It doesn't get cheaper to operate a motor vehicle. I'm pretty sure tires on this are like $1. Like, it's an easy, affordable bike to own and ride. And it's just funny to me that he owns this like perfect mint condition bobber looking Bolt, and he picks this basically every time. I think he just rides the Bolt to keep the gas from getting gummy inside of it or whatever happens. I don't know. I ride my motorcycle too much to worry about things like that. Performance-wise, I mean, it's a 125. I just took it to redline in first and second just to get to the speed limit, so it's actually fun. Like, you would think that being slower would get frustrating, but honestly, it's fun, especially for me, to get to ride something that, like I said, I can ride the absolute wheels off of it everywhere, and nobody even looks at you. Nobody cares. The cops aren't going to pull you over. You're not getting a speeding ticket because it's pretty much impossible to get a speeding ticket when the top speed with my fat ass on it is 40 miles an hour if I'm lucky, 45. And brakes, they're fine. They stop it. You know, it just doesn't take much to stop the bike that only has a 225-pound curb weight. And that's another interesting thing. So with the Z125, it only weighs 225 pounds. That's the curb weight. It can handle, according to Kawasaki, I think 353 pounds is what it's rated at. So I'm 230, and the bike, it's not squatting, it's not, sitting low, it doesn't even feel like the suspension is taxed at all. This bike was built for like real normal humans. Like, you don't have to be a 5'1" gymnast to ride this thing. I'm 6'7", 275. Holy crap, I just caught a glimpse of myself. I look goddamn ridiculous. But I'm having fun, and that's the point. That is the point of this bike, is to have fun, to get good gas mileage, to enjoy your trip to work. That's what these bikes are for. And then if you're a lot cooler than me and a lot more talented, you can, I don't know, do stunts and hashtag I don't stop for cops and block stars and I don't know, whatever those people do. But I give the Z125 a solid 10 out of 10. There's no fault to find with it. There's nothing you can complain about. If you pick one of these up for used, I don't know, $2,000, $2,500, what are you going to complain about? What are you doing to me? Huh? What, do you got a complaint? You got something to say? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's a Z125. It's 125 cc's. It's 80 miles to the gallon. It's fun. It's green. What are you mad about? So anyway, that's where I'm going to end it. I do want to thank Mechanical Batman, as always, for letting me come over and ride one of his bikes at the end of a long day. I'm very fortunate to know him and the fact that he does get bored so easily and always has something new for me to ride. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all eventually on another day with another bike, most likely. Bye now.